At least.
Well, you were like the inspo for me actually doing it because I was going through and reading a thread of your comment on the video, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have to discuss this because clearly, and I respect you way more than the unhinged people that be on there just that deserve me to just tell them to go to hell.
Man, I'm telling you, the Fatima crew, they don't play. I've been in these forums listening, and because I like the team, I'm like close to team, and I know that you have more of the understanding and empathy for Karen and love for Karen, so I get to hear like both sides, but they off the hook over there. They're pretty aggressive. Got to ride or die for real.
Right, but my thing is, I don't have a problem with Fatima. If anything, I feel like she's not getting what she deserves from Zach. Like she's putting in a hell of a lot, and it's not necessarily his growth is not moving at the pace in which I would hope it would for her, particularly in a relationship. But like I've never bashed Fatima. It's interesting to me how people feel like you have to choose.
Yeah, I get that feel too. I just
But
go ahead.
no, go.
I just like I just like the information. I love to hear what you're saying concerning Karen and her process and the what's the words that kind of stuck for me, the her healing, her grieving and healing process, and how you're creating grace for that. But to me, just like I said on in the comments, was just like while she's going through her process, I don't understand why Zach has to be a part of it on this level. Like for instance, if Karen read her letter and it's Lisa, Karen, and she's letting it be out, I don't understand why Aaron is there. And to me, Aaron is just like people don't understand that energy that's between Zach and Aaron. But Aaron is moving as if like a self-righteous person, as if he has it all together. And he's the ticking time bomb to me. We're just waiting for it to explode and find out what it is. That's how I feel about it.
Oh, okay. So I think that there's multiple things happening here, right? Like, and I would definitely want to get to them. And I feel like this is what I was struggling with in trying to navigate your comment. So you take issue with if the letters are going to happen, you didn't want Aaron to be there for Zach's letter reading.
Absolutely. I don't think that was necessary like that. I don't think Aaron needed to be there.
Well, Zach hasn't had his letter read yet. So that's already one thing. And a big thing that I struggle with is like oh shoot, my phone's about to die. Hold on, let me find my charger real quick. Hey everybody, welcome in. We're talking about Sistas, specifically where we're at now with Karen, her letters, and the reading of the letters and the potential fallout from that. As we saw episode number, I guess it was 6, we saw Aaron's letter read, and in next week's episode we will see Zach's letter read. And there's quite a bit of discourse that is happening under my videos, and I wanted to really dive into and have a conversation around different perspectives in that regard. So that's what we're doing right now. Shout out to long-term subby James, who's adding his perspective currently as a speaker. If you would love to add anything, feel free to request so that we can get you involved in the chat as well. Okay. So a big thing for me when I'm going through the comment section is I feel like, one, sometimes we're jumping ahead, and a lot of people throw this at me. They're like, well, I know Tyler Perry writing. And then from there, all I can do is throw my hands up because I don't watch all of his shows. Like, I watch what I watch, and I go from what they give us. And we haven't seen Zach's letter being read yet, but I can understand, I guess, your initial apprehension for Aaron to be there or the idea of it. But now he has Fatima. So then that feels like, okay, so why would we be mad about that? You know? And for me, when I really step back and look at it, and I've thought a lot about it. I've been talking to my friend who could care less about this whole universe, but we talk like as homegirls about like things based off of life and knowing our lived experiences, right? I really believe now that Zach stands to gain the most from this whole thing in reference to perspective and opportunity to really grow the hell up, because though we have seen Karen speak about some of the things that he did to hurt her, we haven't seen her do it as fluid and as concise as what we're getting with these letters, and making it all encompassing. When I really think back about like the various moments where she has been able to say certain things, there's always something else that happens that cut them off, right? Like everything from them in the office and actually having sex, or like him professing whatever, and then it starting with sex and then being interrupted by Aaron, and then like there's so many times where certain things are happening and they never really get to, or both of them, not even just Karen, they never really get to fully express what their thoughts are, whether it is a physical interruption or they kind of like overheat emotionally, right? And they're just so like they're just so overly stimulated that they can't think straight, which is also very, very human. And for me, this whole letter exercise is the opportunity for everything, any and everything to be said, with the understanding come up front from Karen of like, if you don't say this shit now, we don't want to hear it anymore, honey. So like, make sure that this is everything that you got to say. And I don't think that Zach has actually heard everything. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, but to me, am I echoing?
I can hear you.
Okay, just making sure I'm not echoing. That makes 100% sense, and like the letter format, I'm 100% cool with that. It's just the atmosphere of it is wrong to me. Like even at the end of the scene where you have Karen, Aaron, and his mom sitting on one side and then Zach sitting on a couch, that doesn't look crazy to anybody else. That doesn't look like a position of nobody's being biased. All of us are coming to the table trying to get the solutions. It looks like y'all trying to, get Zach in check. And I didn't sign up for that. If I'm Zach, I didn't sign up for that. I came here for us to get the solution, for us to get to like, let's find out what it is and correct it.
Okay, so I do understand how the optics are, right? Like I get the optics of that. But also that's not where they originally were. And when they originally sat down, Zach was the one throwing his little mini tantrums and like not wanting to be there, but you actually showed up, which I think is what led Karen to want to leave.
Man, I lost that point.
What did I say? I said the sit down started out at a table. It wasn't to be biased. Yeah. They're all across from each other.
It is a situation where you want the conversation to happen. I don't understand why we're doing all this stuff, like trying to break the ice. Like I know everybody in the room. This isn't a comfy situation. Let's get to it. It's not really a matter of I don't want to be here at all. It's like we're here for the conversation. Let's not try to act like it's nothing. It's going to be more than a conversation. Let's get to it. It's not really a matter of I don't want to be there. I'm sure now once we hear this letter from Aaron, you don't want to be there. But initially, let's get to it. Like that's how I'm feeling from it. From Zach. It didn't turn into I want to get up out of here until you had to sit through Aaron's letter.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I see what you're saying.
Let me know what it is. I mean,
no, like, I value your perspective as a male. I think where I really struggle is that I just feel like more men would benefit from not being so locked into their view or perspective of the world and being able to expand a little bit more emotionally. And specifically Zach, we've seen him do the same, like have the same responses all the time for similar stimuli, which to me does not actually show growth. So you're right, like who wants to sit through that? However, after you do, and you do gain this insight, and this is someone who you deeply loved and you never wanted to hurt in that way, it does something for you in reference to how you're able to reflect and how you're able to not reprioritize, but like rethink all of what y'all went through. And yes, it's hurtful, like Mama Lisa said, that it wasn't going to be easy. However, you did it. And I feel like whether people like this, not even about Karen specifically, but Zach being able to sit and listen to how these things that happened made her feel and what it did for her self-esteem and all of that is important, because whether we want to be honest about it or not, the trend is starting to happen with Zatima. And he hasn't cheated on her yet, but he also still hasn't checked a lot of the previous Zach Attack behaviors and mindset and all of those things. So it's clear that this is something that you still need to work on. And this is the opportunity, whether we don't like the packaging that it comes in reference to Karen or not, this is an opportunity for him to actually hear it and actually assess it for him. I think a lot of people are like, the number one thing is Karen's mother set this up so that Karen can get her shit together and we don't lose this baby. Cool. However, when we walk in as people, when we walk into any situation, especially if we agree to it, there's also something to you coming in with an idea of like, well, what can I learn? What insight can I gain from this? And what can I actually take? I do believe that Zach has been running a lot from all of the things that he's done and who he has been. And he's very, very quick to be like, well, that was the past and I'm not like that anymore. And well, just let it go because I promise I won't do it again. And then it happened. Like, I do think that he needs the confrontation of his past to him so that he can really look at it and decide like, okay, you have to get a little bit more intentional about this man that you say that you want to be, because you don't have habits, behaviors, or thoughts of that man as of yet. And here's the proof. Does it make sense?
No, what you're saying definitely makes sense. I understand the process of Zach maturing, but I believe right now he's going through the process of growing. He messed up horribly with Karen. Now he's turning a new leaf with Fatima. Some things look similar, but I'm a Zach fan, so I'm expecting him to correct those things before he loses Fatima for real. You know what I mean? So if you want a person to grow, if you want a person to mature, then again, you have to create that atmosphere for him to do that. And how
okay, so let me pause you here because you said this before. I hear you when you say that, but that is not Karen's goal coming in. Karen's goal is not for Zach to grow and mature. What I'm saying is, if he agreed for this sit down, knowing what it was going to be, or knowing whatever her mom said, then that's for him to come in with the growth mindset for himself. And that to me is him being able to better react and to adjust some of his past behaviors that are also manifesting, or reactions that are also manifesting in current day. Like, I think that's him being able to adjust those things because he has a growth in a evolution mindset for himself. And I think it's something that's very big about Zach, is that the fact that he really do struggle with anybody mentioning any of the things that he did that were negative or hurtful, whether they were 3 years ago with Karen or recently with Fatima and what he did at the club. Like, he immediately wants to brush past it as if this is something that should not be processed and it's just over because he decided that it's over. And it's like, no, I think that there's something to be said about a person who can hear the hurtful things that they did to their loved one. And if the person has to say it 3 times, then hear it 3 times. And not that I think that, because I know you mentioned in a comment before of like dogpiling on Zach, and I'm not saying that this is something that should forever be the case and you should never let go of whatever, but because I have not seen Zach be able to take take what he has done and actually be like, you know what, I'm not going to throw a fit about this. I'm not going to turn this on me and then become the victim right now. I'm waiting for him to do that, and then I would be like, okay, he's already working on this in this area, so we actually don't need to say this again. But because we are actually not actually seeing him work on it, it's like people are going to keep saying it, nigga.
This medicine is going to be hard for him to come down, because the person who's trying to give him the message is not being accountable. You know what I'm saying? So for him,
and I don't necessarily agree with that.
But you're not seeing it from my perspective whatsoever. Karen didn't really take any type of accountability for how she was treating Zach. I
don't agree with that. Like, I've done videos where I've had to like go back and pull out specific scenes where she has been and she has said specific things, like, and owned up to it in a way that Zach I've seen do kind of once. Like, if I go back, I think it's season 2, episode 11, when they make up after Danni, it's like, after Danni had that whole lie going around about how she slept with Zach because Zach was staying with her and she was mad at the girl, so she was trying to get back at her by doing that. Simply I don't know what, let me see. Simply Egyptian girl. Like, if you are not enjoying the conversation, you do not have to spam your dislike button. You could just go on about your Friday afternoon, love, and stay beautiful. But what was I saying?
You're giving the examples of Karen taking accountability, I think?
Yes. And the one time that I feel like Zach kind of did, but he does a similar rhetoric of like, I'm going to do right. And I know I just hurt you so bad, but he doesn't like and I don't know if he has to per se. I'm still processing that, so like give me grace with that. But like I don't recall him actually like calling a thing with all the specific things that he's done. And now that we have Fatima, we've gotten even more context on the things that Karen didn't even know about, or maybe found out later, or whatever the case may be. And he's just not able to articulate specifically to that. He just gives broad strokes. But there has been times where Karen has said specifically, and the biggest issue has been about her mouth, and has been about the credit card being stolen, both of which she has spoke to and apologized for and regretted. And most recently, the credit card thing, because Zach is the one who made her realize that that was the breaking point for him. So when people say that she's not being held accountable, it's just not true. But I have to like remember that you just don't like her. So it's harder for you to register that is her being held accountable.
To me, I feel like Zach is full of apologies. He's full of regret, and he's trying to mature from it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure that he apologized to Karen plenty of times. Now he just wants to move on with his life.
It's also about apologizing. And honestly, like the letter reading, for me, when they first announced it, I was very excited for it because one, not enough Black people go to therapy, and not enough Black people have conversations about what is happening in their head and how they're seeing things. So another thing, like, let me go here first, and hopefully I remember what I'm trying to say.
Like the biggest apologized to Karen so many times, though. That's the only thing, you know. And even
right, but
like,
this isn't
the same thing. But still, he knows that he done something wrong to her, and that wasn't right. So to kind of say that he doesn't really take accountability, he's not handling it maturely because he's still in his growth period. And I know that we have expectations for him, but he's still growing. But he apologized.
Okay, so for me personally, I don't want an apology from someone if they can't specifically speak to what they're apologizing for. And I believe that is something that plagues Zach because he's done so much. He likes to broad stroke it. And to me, it's a very different apology to say, I'm very sorry for sleeping with Belinda because I got pissed and she was looking at me at the airport and it made me feel really great in that moment and I really should have brought my ass home. Like, that is a very different apology than I'm so sorry for running around on you with all these hoes, to me. Now, my point that I was trying to make is that I also don't necessarily think I need, from this letter reading, Zach to apologize. I wasn't coming into it like, oh, great, now she's going to get the apology that she actually deserved. I don't really give a shit about it, honestly, and I don't actually think that she needs it. I think that the things that are being said by her and the stuff that she's writing in the letter need to be said so that she stops feeling compelled to pop up and to push Aaron away and like do all the things. So I was most excited about this whole letter reading so that she could quantify everything that she was thinking, everything that she was feeling, with her mother giving her the parameters of like, this is speak now and forever hold your goddamn peace, and this is it. For me, Zach could sit there, even though I don't think that this would be truthful, Zach could sit there, listen to the letters and say, okay, and walk out, and that would be what it is. I personally would love for him to reply back with whatever he is actually feeling as well, because I do think that we have seen quite a bit of moments where there is something for him that is completely unprocessed, but because he's so hella focused on moving so quickly with Fatima, he's not allowing himself to grieve this relationship properly and to move on healthily, in my opinion. So for me, it's not necessarily what you're saying about this apology. And that's where I kind of like lose a lot of people because, again, I feel like people be making arguments specifically on my video. So if anybody is new here, I'm seeing a lot of new faces, a lot of new screen names. So welcome in. I struggle with people who come on my videos and make arguments about points that I never made. I never said that Karen is better than Zach. I never said that from this letter reading, Zach needs to apologize. I do think that for him as a person being in this situation, because he agreed to walk into this room and be in this situation, I would hope that as a growing and a maturing man, he is able to walk in with the mindset of like, well, what can I get from this that's going to make me a better person when I walk out? And that's just a life thing, not even a specific to Karen thing. Let me add. Christina, I'm gonna bring you up. Go ahead and respond, James. And then I
Okay.
think Luna, you requested, but you're also like spamming your dislike button. So I'm just very confused at the energy that we're trying to bring here. Because one thing I'm not gonna do is argue with y'all. I'm gonna have intelligent debate and I'm gonna discuss point for point. But what I'm not gonna do is invite Facebook and raggedy ass troll Twitter energy. So just be mindful.
Luna's my best friend. She's Fatima. Well, it's a Fatima family. It's my Fatima family. So I'm just here
Okay.
defending my boy Zach. That's what I'm here for. Wherever Zach's being trashed, I'm coming. I'm coming.
But it's not being trashed though. Like literally. And that's the thing I struggle with. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm gonna bring her up, but let me say this before you guys like chime back in. The way that the fandoms move, like this shit really perplexes me, and it's across various like really popular shows because I do cover so many really popular shows that have like intense fandoms. Like I do not understand the idea of like we cannot like somebody but also understand their opportunities, their weakness in areas of shortcomings.
I just want to say a few things, and I'm not staying here because this ain't my scene, but I just want to say a few things. Y'all enable the hell out of Karen. Everything Karen do, y'all got a but, or she should have did this, or
who is y'all,
not,
sweetheart? Who is y'all? Because I only speak for myself.
Everything James say, you say, well, for me, it's not for you. Are you not watching the show?
Okay, sweetheart. Are you actually trying to have a conversation or are you trying to argue?
Look, I talk how I talk, and if you don't like it, you can remove me, but I'm going to say what I got.
Easy. Because what we're not going to do is be disrespectful. Christina, are you still here? Because we can go ahead and move on. What y'all not going to do is lump me into whatever group of Karen lovers that you absolutely hate and talk about y'all. I speak for myself. I have my own platform, and that's just what it is. I'm not here to argue counterpoints around your obsession with a fictitious character. I'm just not. Christina, you're breaking up. Hey, Jalen, welcome in.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave out and I'm gonna come back in. Okay, Erica?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I agree with you on your perspective of the way Zach should be.
Okay. What about now?
I can hear you.
Okay. I liked your point of view. What you just said about the growth period of what Zach was going through. And I was just telling you that. That's all.
Oh, okay. Jalen, not you sitting this breathe out. I can't. Thank you for adding that though, Christina. James, are you still here? I know I had to kick your best friend out, but
I'm still here. Nah, it's all good. I mean, you open up the door for people to speak, and that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, and all you got to do is keep it respectful. That's all. Like, one thing I'm not is like, I actually live a life outside of social media, and I know that people get into an interesting bag, specifically on Twitter, and they become very, very fucking gangster, but I'm just not that girl. Go ahead, Jalen.
Hey, E, how you been?
I'm all right. How you feeling?
I'm good. Just got off work. I saw your video earlier today. You had like that's why I put the gift of in and breaking out, because you and I have had a bunch of conversations dealing with this, and it requires me to both breathe in and breathe out because I know how much you don't like to argue, and I completely respect that. So I'm gonna put it like this: from the conversation that we had months ago, I told you I understand exactly how Karen feels. I understand why she has reacted or acted in the ways that she's done. And I've acknowledged that Zach has done a lot of wrong in his past. I completely understand that. But what was my issue with Karen dating back to when the whole Fatima thing first started? And I've been consistent with this. I had a problem with Karen doing wrong because I told you regardless of any situation, wrong is still wrong. I understand it.
Okay, but doing what wrong? Can you
Let's
be
see.
specific about the wrong you're talking
Number
about?
one, popping up unannounced on the phone, on like to Zach's house. The disrespect, like.
But that's not at the beginning because he didn't have a house. So you gotta also deliver. Like if you tell me we're gonna start at the beginning of Fatima, so that's when he gets hit off this bike, and then you tell me she popping up at his house. Like those are two different parts of the timeline.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. They started talking. I remember when Zach came over to Karen's place to deliver the first half of the money that he promised that he was gonna pay back. Then he walked away. We had that conversation. Nothing was wrong with there. And when I remember when Karen asked him, you don't think I earned or you don't think I deserve a right to know who he's talking to? Karen wasn't wrong on that point, and I give you credit on that one. I just applaud Zach for not talking.
I don't know if that was right or wrong. I think that was just like in the decoupling stage, the reason
why I threw that out there is to make sure that I'm on track as far as the timeline at the beginning of the team. That's not one of the wrong moments. So there was that. The first wrong moment I would have to go to is when Karen popped up and Andi stopped and overheard the conversation that Fatima and Andi had about Zach. When Andi got mad, I understand why she got mad. I completely understand that. But during that time, Zach gave her the final bit of the money that he owed her. They had that first should have been final closure conversation. And then when Zach stopped returning the calls and everything, which I understand where he's coming from on that. We've all had those moments. Karen popped up at Andi's shop, overheard the conversation. We understood that she was mad, and we understood some stuff was about to pop up.
Well, okay, this is at the law firm, not at the shop, right? Okay.
This is at the law firm. She called out Fatima by her name, called her
correct.
She was wrong. That was the first one. I was like,
okay, but also in that timeline, she also apologized at the penthouse, correct, for that.
She apologized the second time, but we all knew the intentions of that whole conversation.
No, that's not the second time. That was for the first time.
Yeah, okay. She called her a bitch the first time. That was apologizing for that, as well as the only reason why she invited her. Look, I told you a while ago, I give Karen credit for actually admitting that she was wrong. She even said that she was wrong, even about the whole invitation to the whole penthouse thing. We completely understood that. But at the end of the day,
but the interesting narrative is that Karen is never held accountable, and she has been held accountable this entire time. The whole entire fandom hates this girl.
It's still the portion of being is defending what she's done, what all the wrong that she's done. Now I get it, she ain't done a whole lot of wrong.
Who's defending the wrong that she's done? Who's defending the wrong that she's done?
I'm not saying
and this is where I struggle, and this is where this is not to be disrespectful to you at all, but this is what really sounds unhinged for me, because if I can't speak about a person, a character that I relate to, that I have had similar lived experiences to, that I can say she was wrong for calling out the name, then she was doing too much of that damn law. Like, I have literally made videos and pointed out when she was wrong, but because I don't now hate the character, I'm defending all of her bad actions, and that's completely false.
I'm not saying that you should, and I'm not saying that you haven't held her accountable. But the level of accountability that you enforce on Zach, albeit is deserving, is still not equal to the way you do it with Karen.
And you know what, Jalen, it's so interesting. I would love for you to let me restate what you just said. You just said that my level of accountability holding for Zach, albeit deserving, is not the same level of what I hold for Karen. And now we can actually call the thing a thing, because Karen has not done nearly as much as Zach has to other people outside of Karen. Because if we want to really be honest, and if you really have been around, which I know you have because you watch multiple series breakdowns of mine on my channel, so you've been around my channel for a while, you know for a fact that I have been riding with Zach and understanding his fuckboy journey for quite a while, because I dated one of them. My biggest issue with Zach is what we learned now with Fatima. Now you don't have being broke as an excuse, which also is something that shows itself in men of like when y'all are financially constrained, sometimes y'all are completely different people. He don't have that issue anymore. He has nothing but space and opportunity to grow and get his shit together. He has no excuse. So now y'all are seeing me hold him accountable in this way because now the things that he was complaining about holding him down and holding him back, he no longer has, but he is still doing Zach attacks, and that's a problem for me.
Okay, give me the example of the Zach attack that you've seen from him since
Deja.
Okay.
Why every time this girl walk around with a Fashion Nova fit, you is biting your fucking lip, your eyes is rolling in the back of your head, you drunk at this party and dancing on her, all behind the idea of like, oh my God, she had coffee and hugged this boy, like, and James is gonna have a feeling about that because you already feel like Fatima never should have went to coffee. Cool. But I'm just saying, Zach's biggest issue when he was in his relationship with Karen was one, how she talked to him, which is on her, and then two, how he wasn't financially able to provide in the same way that she was. Now you don't have Fatima. Let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
Let me finish my thought. Now with Fatima, you don't have the girl talking to you crazy, and you also have $2 million in the bank. So why are we still behaving the same?
The same reason why Karen has, based off of pain.
And this is where I call a thing, and I'm gonna call you on your bullshit, Jalen, because the fact that was your response.
I'm on real shit the whole time.
That is not real shit. You're telling me that Zach can't grow because Karen can't grow, in your opinion? Okay, sir.
Couldn't grow.
So what? You just said it. You just said because Karen hasn't, in your opinion.
No, you're saying why did Zach do has done the same stuff even though he got the money no more?
And he's no longer with Fatima, but your response is because Karen did.
No,
that's what you just said, Jalen.
No, we're talking about the instance with Deja when he went to the party, did all the dancing. First of all, Zach didn't want to go regardless. He had an issue in our.
And somehow he made it there.
Really? You about to do that? All right. Zach went to the party. He didn't want to go. He was already dealing with anger. And you know this as well as I do. How many times we've done stuff out of anger and pain? You and I both can relate to that. I understand that. Was he wrong for that? Heck yeah, he was wrong for that. I've already admitted that, and I said on numerous occasions. But one, he never pulled no trigger. He never did anything like that, like old Zach would have done. Because old Zach would have, he would have put it in her. But he didn't.
Okay, but we also didn't get to. I can't necessarily jump on that boat because we didn't get to see that play out because Bryce came and physically removed him. I want to believe that he wouldn't have done it, but I also can't because the way that it's written, the way that it's displayed, Bryce physically removed him.
Exactly, because most of his people.
So that is not on Zach, baby. That is on the person within his life holding him accountable.
Look, I already told you, I hold him accountable.
No, I'm not. Okay, I don't think that you're actually listening to hear me. You're really just focused on defending Zach right now. So we're about to start going in circles.
I hold him accountable, but I'm still going to defend him because
I said the decision for Zach to not sleep with Deja, I cannot commit to believing that it's 100% on him choosing not to sleep with Deja because Bryce came and physically removed him. Bryce held him accountable in that space and removed him.
Right?
I'm sorry?
You are going to take account that in the intoxication, right?
Intoxication doesn't give you an excuse.
I'm not saying it does.
So then what are you saying?
The intoxication part, as far as being drunk, rather your self-awareness does go down. Now, there's still no excuse for doing it.
But you put yourself in that position, so no, whether you're intoxicated or not, I don't care.
Get him out of that situation. Intoxication plus anger is never a good combination. Now, again, look, I know it sounds like I'm making excuses for him for almost pulling the trigger. But he never pulled the trigger. That's the main point I'm trying to address. Whether it doesn't matter how he did not pull the trigger. Bottom line, he didn't. Hello?
Hello. I hear you, Jalen. I hear you. I'm gonna let my friend ask a question.
Hey y'all.
I actually gotta go to work now, though. We'll talk later.
Cool. So I don't watch the show. Let me first just say that. But a lot of people are having, what I'm hearing is like people defending this man in his most toxic phase. And I'm just curious, like, would you actually date or want your family members or your best friends to date him and how he's treated Karen? The stuff that we now know about him. Like, would you want your homegirl to be with somebody who's cheated multiple times? We know at least 3 people. We now know he has had a baby on this girl. We now know that he fucked homegirl's best friend. Like, is that someone you would want your family to be with? And then, like, I don't know how crazy Karen has been, but if somebody is treating you like that, you don't think that there's any, like, is she not allowed to have any emotions after that? Like, what is she supposed to do? She loves him. She's been invested in him. She wants to stay. But he's also been awful. So I don't really get, like, why y'all are dead set on defending his awfulness. It's the question. Y'all can come for me if y'all want to. I don't know y'all, but it's just a question.
And the people who would have responded to that are not actually there. But I'm gonna put it up on my channel. So yeah, we can get the comments later. Anyone else want to chime in? Let me know. I wish Destiny was in here because Destiny would be like gathering. All right. Not the men getting mad and then logging off. I can't. But James specifically gave me, while we were going through and breaking down Fatima each week, he gave me a different perspective on some of the things that were occurring. So I really tried to give as much grace and like really hear him out so that I can get an understanding of his perspective before I refute anything. But these other ones who are just completely unhinged and want to act like Karen is the second coming of Satan, I would just never be able to converse with you all because, as I mentioned, you all are unhinged. Yes, I am still recording. And with that said, we'll wrap this up. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you're watching this on the replay, then feel free to drop down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. But also, let's not be disrespectful. See you in the next one.